I'm curious. And one of the things I started use this YouTube channel media presence thing was so I can punch back at things like this if it's to see how bad it goes. So
hello friends, my name is JJ. So here is a fun fact. In the 7 or so years I have been making educational videos on YouTube, I have never consulted Wikipedia when doing...
That's really dumb. I don't understand why you wouldn't. Such a good starting point at the very least. Even the most fiercest critics will say, yeah, you don't need to read it, but it's definitely a good place to start.
My research. Not even one. Google, Amazon, and Apple have all become major funders of Wikipedia in recent years, keeping the non-profit site up and running with millions of dollars in donations.
What? What? No, that's... Why does he think that? That's not even... That's nothing. That's just a drop in the bucket.
Even if you strenuously seek to avoid using Wikipedia, you can't escape it because so many people have absolutely no shame about just brazenly regurgitating information from the site.
I blocked myself from Wikipedia, therefore no one else should access Wikipedia. Exactly. It's like, yeah, you made that choice, but like, which seems so arbitrary, like where you haven't gotten to the root cause of why. Why do you hate Wikipedia? It's the only website that isn't run for profit of like the top 10 websites. You hate the only one that's actually dedicated to a knowledge-based mission and improving the world. But you don't have a problem with Facebook or Twitter. I mean, obviously I know he has problems with those sites, but like the one he goes out of his way to avoid is Wikipedia though. Like that's like, it just seems like such a like thing. And the foundation has no... Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, like what... Does he think that we're not going to like say anything about Amazon workers peeing in bottles? Because we say that in our articles. Like, what did Amazon get for their $1 million donation? They got nothing because there's nothing stopping us from writing like all about how their unionization efforts and, all the like ridiculous things that they like have done to try to stop that. Like, I don't see what his problem is still. And we're 3 minutes and 39 seconds in the video, and I feel like, why do you hate this still? You've explained, I understand that you hate it, but please just tell me why.
When I was young, the internet was filled with multiple different websites on multiple different topics. If you wanted to learn about, say, the history of pizza, you would have to hunt around until you found a special pizza-centric website that someone had made. Often these websites were true passion projects containing enormous amounts of information by dedicated experts, sometimes professionals, sometimes not, but always presented in a way that reflected a deep and legitimate interest in the subject.
But how is that better? I just don't understand how that was any better than the system that we have now. Like, that seems so ripe for abuse, and it makes the barrier of entry so unbelievably high that you had to host your own website and front the costs. Meaning that if you were a person who cared a lot about the topic without the financial means to actually do so, you couldn't. Like, I don't understand. Expensive to run by your like yeah, right? Like, why that? Why would we ever want to go back to that? Like, I understand. I miss the days when we used to have independent wikis where if you wanted to start a wiki, you couldn't go to these massive corporation, right? If you would have to start, if you want to start your own niche, like Minecraft, for example, wiki, you wouldn't go to fandom.com. You would literally have to host your own like service. Bulbapedia, for example, was made before, and it didn't have to be on, this giant wiki host. And I feel like Bulbapedia is a much better resource because it's not, owned by this massive corporation. But like, that being said, right? Wikipedia is not that. It's where you can have 1 or 2 pages about that topic, but it'll never be. There will never be entire like contain everything the pizza encyclopedia will ever contain. Like, to use his example. Plus, back in the day, expert credentials were basically trust me, bro. Yeah, right. It's like they didn't have to cite anything. They could have easily been lying, and you just kind of had to take their word for it. And if you know, if even if you knew that they were lying, the only thing you could theoretically do besides confront them is host your own website. Why? Like, if like let's say you were here's a good example. Harry Potter fan fiction. Back in the day, you had if you shipped Harry and Ginny, you had to go to a specific website because some other fan fiction websites banned that kind of ship. Why would that, like, why would you want that where everything was so like broken up? It's less convenient. I understand that, like, well, the alternative being, if the alternative is fanfiction.net, which is heavily censored, that you might not be okay with that. But now we have archive of our own, and where they don't censor anything, and it's honestly a lot better.
The fall of the single topic information sites was also significant in that it marked a significant decline in authorial accountability for the information we consume online.
What? Literally, if you made the website, you didn't have to put your name on it. That was the whole point. Nobody knew anybody could run these sites. I mean, that's called, no, I wouldn't, Yammers, the free market necessary, like the internet being so heavily regulated, I wouldn't argue that the reason these sites dissipated was the free market. The reason these sites dissipated because it was just the path of least resistance. It wouldn't make sense for individual people to put in all this work when they didn't have to. That isn't necessary. You can argue that that's the invisible hand of the free market, but you could just as easily argue was that there was corporate interest in pushing people in a certain way. But I don't understand why he thinks that was better. Like, you could theoretically hold entire communities hostage, right? Like, let's say, going back to like the Harry Potter fanfiction example, let's say you're a fanfiction site that hates LGBT people. You could just ban that on your site. And if you're a poor LGBT person and nobody in the community seems to care about you being LGBT, where are you gonna go? You're gonna have to make your own site. Good luck, friend. That's terrible. That's ridiculous. I don't understand why. Like, he could very much like you could pretty much think of any like I can't even imagine, like, the amount of drama that happens on Wikipedia where people can actually fight over the content. The very idea that only one of the people fighting over the content could just have the way completely is not a system I would ever support.
So in theory, anyone who wants to can edit a Wikipedia article.
Which is true. Anybody can.
Wikipedia lists as one of its core principles the idea that people should be able to contribute to articles without providing a real name or even...
This is objectively true. You could do those things. Is his argument that gonna be because of that you could theoretically hide who you are? Because you could do that. You don't have to reveal your real name and email address to make a website. That stopped being a thing a long time ago. I don't understand what his argument is. You don't need to provide these things to the public to host a website.
Registering for an account. This is worrying unto itself, but...
How? Why is it worrying? Why would you want people to use their real names to be able to contribute meaningfully to a topic? Especially in like if you're talking about like topics that they might be well versed in, but where it's illegal for them to talk about, i.e. in repressive countries. Why should editors basically put out the real information? The arguments for, like, you don't have to do that as a YouTuber. Like, Why can I make an entire YouTube video about a content and but I can't edit Wikipedia? Like that's the bar, even though one of those I don't even know. Web3, here we come. I don't know, Yammers, because he is supposed to be a leftist, so if he really does mention this, I'll be surprised.
In any case, in practice, the writing and editing of Wikipedia articles is done by an extremely tiny subculture of largely anonymous.
Not true. It's actually a misconception. And even people in the Wikipedia community would be surprised to learn the majority of articles are generally written by one. Well, it's true, they're generally written by one or two people. Those are not the same people. The Wikipedia's editing base is so large that I think people have a false perception that anybody who contributes to the back, the project space, in the actual community part of Wikipedia, dominates it. But in reality, the article writing is so decentralized that you probably will never be able to the majority of articles are written by a majority of the editor. Not, as he would have you believe, a few editors. I think it's telling because he didn't bother doing that amount of research, but...
This Vice story from 2017 estimated that only about 1,300 people are creating the over 3/4 of the 600 new articles posted to Wikipedia every day. While this 2019 CBS story...
No! You can't do this! Please! Use... I didn't want to include this in the...
While this 2019 CBS story estimated that 1/3 of everything on Wikipedia was written by just one guy. Even generally sympathetic scholars have...
And now we know he didn't do even the barest minimum research.
Well, the conclusion of those who have crunched some of the publicly available data, which Wikipedia tries to keep to a minimum...
What? When have... They have the numbers because Wikipedia gives them out. What is he trying to say? The Wikimedia Foundation releases these reports. Why is he trying to say we're hiding it? We have entire articles about how Wikipedia works. It's the most open website in the world. If you want to know every point of every level of administration, you can find the specific individual who took the specific action that you're curious about. These two of his sources are from Wikimedia websites. Why is he saying that we are hiding this?
Rules around themselves to consolidate their power, intimidate newbies, and just...
I don't even know where he we have entire policies about how if you are rude to a new person, that's a violation of our policy. I don't understand why you would say the exact opposite, unless he didn't bother actually looking at what Wikipedia does.
Generally make the note that the experience is often something akin to going to the grocery store and trying to rearrange the shelves, no matter how...
What? Yeah, because... Why... But, if you put an item back to where it belongs, no one's gonna yell at you. I work at a grocery store. I'm not gonna yell at you if you take an item and you put it back on the shelf where it belongs. What is his argument here? Yeah, if you needlessly vandalize the grocery store, you will be kicked out. Actually, probably not even in a grocery store, but, yeah, if you mess things up, if you write words out of order, if you ruin the templates, the structure that Wikipedia has built and you misuse it, yeah. But if you put things back to where they belong, right? Because people put so let's say an item's where it shouldn't be, a piece of Cheerios or you got Cheerio cereal in a freezer. I'm not gonna yell at you for putting the Cheerios back in the cereal section because you did a good thing and you did my job for me and you're contributing meaningfully to this. And if you wanted to stock all the shelves, even though at that point you're basically being anti-union because you're not letting me do my own job, I would be okay with it. I don't understand why I don't understand. Like, don't do things you don't understand. Duh. People try to, like, because of the, fragrant misinformation of the site, propagated by him in part. Now, people don't understand how to edit, and so they think it's something that they're not. They'll write articles about themselves because they think that they own the article, and that's how it works. It's not. It's just
well-meaning and logical your changes are, they will not be...
Okay, why would you compare it to messing up a grocery store? Also, just because you think it's right doesn't mean that the rest of the world agrees with you. All we ask is you provide a citation.
Your changes are, they will not be...
Grocery store Wikipedia, this guy should have contacted you. I know, right? Literally, I'm an expert on, like, 3 things. Next, he's gonna mention Homestuck, and then we're just all gonna lose our minds.
And in all likelihood... Now, I know that one of the things people like to say about Wikipedia is, oh, I only go there as a starting point. Because, I mean, if Wikipedia competitors are largely non-existent, then it is hardly obvious where all of these people are going after Wikipedia to flesh out or corroborate what they learned.
They're going to the article's sources. They're going to the sources of the article. You know, where the little blue numbers that are after everything, they're going there, man. That's where they're going. I don't understand. Does he just not understand how, like, the little blue numbers work? Like, does he think that we just say whatever we freaking want? That'd be so nice if I could just say whatever I wanted on a Wikipedia article and I didn't have to actually cite sources.
People will then say that they follow the sources from a Wikipedia article, but independent of the fact that this still means that you're relying on Wikipedia for your information, it has always struck me as another deeply disingenuous claim. Wikipedia's sources, after all, in the sense of the footnotes that they pepper their articles with, don't exist to offer readers a more comprehensive understanding of the topic at hand.
I gotta break this down into 2 things. For the first thing he doesn't like is the fact that they're still on Wikipedia. Irrespective of the fact that you probably use Google to get there, and the huge market share that Google has. And if it's not Google, their competitor, Bing, owned by 2 massive corporations with an incentive, surely has the incentive to tell you nothing but the truth. Understood. So he's upset that Wikipedia has a dominance of knowledge, even though the thing that you used was a search engine, and that's where he started. Not concerned there. There's no concern with the search engine, Google, and their ability to control the internet. Understood. And so the second thing is that the articles don't exist to tell you about the topic that you're learning, because essentially he's upset that they're secondary sources and are primary, but mostly secondary because that's what we try to use. He's upset that the secondary sources aren't tertiary sources like Wikipedia, because you're supposed to learn more about the topic. It's, even though the fact that a secondary source will by its very nature be covering a subtopic because it's an article or it's a profile of an entire person's, career, that those happen. I've seen, like, puff pieces before. They exist. Let's say you got you're reading a page about a politician, right? And it's about you see that they authored this bill, right? The source is probably going to be about an entire article about that bill, right? Which might not have its own Wikipedia page because it might just only have that article written about it. But that is more information about the topic. But because it's not about the politician, that doesn't count.
Little interest to a more general reader, because again, most of the time, educational websites containing general information of a sort that would be of interest to a general reader don't even exist on the internet outside of Wikipedia at all. Now let me...
But the specialty... So his argument was the specialty websites, like his pizza encyclopedia example, worked because they had they were for, but that doesn't make any sense because those news articles would be for the general reader. And generally, you're summarizing the majority of what the article says. Sometimes you have to say like a few passages from it, or maybe worst case to worst, like a few words. But yeah, I
Let me just dunk on Wikipedia's quality of writing for a second, which helps contribute to the idea that a Wikipedia article contains everything that can be possibly said on a topic, and thus there is no reason to bother trying to compete with it.
I don't think even Wikipedia says that it's supposed to be everything about a topic. It's just supposed to be the basic points. That's why we have other articles. If everything could be said in a single article, Wikipedia would be a website with only one article. You know, that's just not how it works. That's why you had like the little hat notes that said main article here, main article here. If you want more information, go here. You know, and that's why we also have external links, because you know, there's things that Wikipedia is not particularly good at that we, you know, say, oh, if you really want to understand more things about the cast and crew, go to IMDb. Like, you know, we're not here for this.
A couple examples of why Wikipedia writing is some of the least helpful educational writing you will ever encounter. Here's a paragraph from their 8,000-word article on Mario. As a reader, why am I being told this bizarre ramble of trivia and anecdotes? What is Super Mario Sunshine?
Click the link and you'll find out. You're on a page about Mario, so they're only trying to tell you things about how Mario operates and is relevant to this game. So they start off by saying Mario, like what the game is, or that it is a game, so you understand that the thing they're talking about is not like you know, a movie, it's a game, right? And then they say, okay, he originally wasn't gonna be in the game, and then they noticed that it was weird without him, and so they added him, and while he's in the game, he has a friend. Because you're on a page about Mario, not a page about the freaking... Imagine, like, how messy that article would be if it told you everything about Super Mario Sunshine. That, like, it would just never end. The article would never end. You would eventually have to, explain what the Earth is, right? Like, I don't understand what he wants.
Why should someone interested in learning about Mario care about any of this?
It's a given that they care, given that they're reading the freaking thing. I don't know. Why is it? It's not our job to tell you why you should read Wikipedia. You're reading Wikipedia. That's the one thing that you don't need to be told. This isn't your high school essay, right? Where you have to somehow convince the teacher that what you're saying matters and you have to hook the reader. The one thing that Wikipedia can be absolutely certain on is that you want to learn about this topic. That's it. The Wikipedia trusts that the reader wants to know about this topic and wants these details because they clicked on the page in the first place. And if they wanted to learn more, then they would go into where it says main article. And that's how you generally have people reading about all sorts of random topics, because they go on an entire spree. Just because he doesn't do this doesn't mean that it's a foreign concept. And I feel like the only reason he thinks this is weird is because he doesn't read Wikipedia. But the rest of the world has. And this is normal. We shouldn't have to explain why you should care about Mario when you asked us to tell you about Mario. Granted, it should be at least obvious why the article is written in the first place. That is a requirement. It should be about a notable topic. But some topics are self-evidently notable. Just don't need to do that. And that would be really stupid if we did.
So much of the most relevant knowledge is simply assumed, while the most irrelevant knowledge is prioritized.
What is assumed there? There's no... What assumption... Like, what's the assumption here? Like, what is the assumption?
And why is it essential for me to know so many specific numbers to understand who Stephen Harper is and why he matters?
Harper is the first and only prime minister to come from a modern-day Conservative Party of Canada, serving as the party's first leader from 2004 to 2015. If you wanted to know about the economic management of his tenure, you would go to this little section here. And it tells you all about it. But let's say you want to learn more. Whoa. Then you can go even more. And even more. And just, wow, now you're learning about China, because I just randomly clicked that link. Or, oh, look at this. Here's even more information. Look at, they took all this, and whoa, and then they simplified it to this, because this is an article with the big guy, and so we're not going to make this entire page about that guy. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And I'd like to conclude this video by recommending some of the better online resources that I use instead. When it comes to biographies of individuals, meanwhile, I really recommend reading their obituaries in...
Okay, I was gonna let him get through this whole thing, but man, that is dark. Let them die first. Jeez.
Now, when I was a kid, we were sold the promise of the internet as a place that was infinitely rich with information, with a million web pages on every topic, stretching out endlessly in all directions. These days, however, it really does feel like the internet has just sort of congealed into a few giant all-purpose sites. You know, one for shopping, 3 for socializing, and 1 for information. And I think
the only through line I can understand here that makes sense to me is he's nostalgic for the internet of old, where there were many independent websites run by independent people that weren't dependent on these huge platforms, right? And I'm not going to say companies, but platforms. He's upset that certain websites became platforms, and where instead of becoming the information and the destination, they became the destination that hosts the information. What he wants from the internet is not realistic or sustainable. It invites a ton of redundancies. If you disagree with what the Pizza Encyclopedia says, you have to start your own Pizza Encyclopedia, and you have to start your own server, and you're paying for energy costs. And at the end of the day, he's attacking the one institution that's among the most successful, that is successful, that actually is collectively run and is, collectively managed. I rather have Wikipedia than have 50 mini Wikipedias that are written by one person with complete control over that topic. That seems like a disaster to me, and would be actually kind of frightening.